Morning, everyone. I always like to follow Philip because he has love in his last name. So, um, good thing you guys have a sense of humor this early, right? So, again, my name is Doua Thor. I'm the executive director for a national organization called the Southeast Asia Resource Action Center, and we're really happy to be a partner of the Campaign for High School Equity. I feel like in our work, all of the other organizations that have engaged around supporting communities of color have really become strong allies around this particular issue. So I won't make long extended comments, but I want to talk a little bit, expand a little bit about Philip's points around accountability. For many folks, they wonder why Asian Americans and Pacific Islanders, or even the Southeast Asia Resource Action Center, why we are a member of CHSE, right? You know, our students are at Harvard and they're at Yale and they're doing really well. And I think we fall into what's known as the model minority myth, right? The idea that there is a set of students who are doing so well that everyone should be living up to that. And part of our work in the Campaign for High School Equity is to really dispel that and bring and elevate our communities to the level of engaging around the policy reform piece on high school reform and on ESEA in general. So a little bit of a rough background. Within the Asian American Pacific Islander community, you have a really diverse set of students. So you have students that are third or fourth generation Japanese Americans, along with myself, who came to this country as a refugee less than 30 years ago, right? So there's a lot to be said about what can be done to support communities and students who are performing, obviously to support those who are doing well, but also to lift those who could be doing much better. A quick rough stat is that actually roughly 47% of Cambodians, 41% of Hmong, and 51% of Laotians 25 years and older have a high school degree compared to 80% of the overall U.S. population. So most people don't know that about Asian American Pacific Islander students. And our goal is to really connect the accountability piece to the importance of disaggregating data. So both Colin, Delia, and Philip talked about the importance of data, and really it is, to reiterate Colin's point this morning, about making the invisible students visible. Some of the key recommendations we're looking at in terms of ESEA is requiring states to disaggregate academic data achievement by ethnicity and language as a part of their longitudinal data systems. Currently, that's not a part of the conversation. Require states to share longitudinal data with appropriate partners, including community-based organizations and educational departments of tribes. Part of the conversation is let's disaggregate the data and make sure we know what's happening with students, but also let's share it with communities so they understand how to utilize it to best make the case for all the students in their communities. And to really also look at how English language students are doing in this case. Delia mentioned a little bit about that earlier. For us, it's really to look at tailoring assessments and tailoring accommodations to specific needs of English language learner students. We have large percentages and pockets of Asian American Pacific Islander students who are in homes that are linguistically isolated and actually speak many different languages at home. So understanding how that impacts the school system is really important for us. Many folks often say, can we disaggregate all this data? Because if we do it for one, we'll have to do it for others. And actually, we've been saying that it is definitely possible. If you look at school districts that are very diverse right now, whether it's Oakland or the Twin Cities and St. Paul, where there are large Asian American Pacific Islander populations, specifically Southeast Asians who came more as refugees, they do disaggregate that data because they need to know what's going on in those communities. The key for us is how do we elevate that to the national level so that we can look at that data systematically and make sure that it represents a story that's true to what's happening across the country, not just specific pockets of the country. So our recommendation has often been that it is possible and districts are already doing it. How can we guide them and support them in doing it better? I think the last piece is also looking at taking this data and making sure that teachers and officials in school districts know how to utilize it. Many folks are running around having to fulfill a lot of requirements, and the key for them is now with new data and looking at gathering new data, how can they utilize that to best teach their students and also to best inform changes and reforms that need to happen in the school districts. So my points are pretty simple and straightforward, but I'll leave it up to Q&A, and thank you very much for having me. I also have the honor of asking Hillary Shelton from the NAACP to come up next.